All right, here we go again. Buckle up. From what I can tell, the law is a good law to a certain degree. It's just too broad. You don't want kids coming to in from Guatemala, and then we have all these issues around both ways. Again, the argument goes both ways. You don't want us to shut them out. Just boom. You have because there are cases where an amnesty claim would work, and they might need a little bit of time and protection to set up an amnesty case. There's other cases where they're gaming the system. Let me send my kid off to be raised by the United States, so I'll have a retirement plan. Right. Right. So again, we know that it's like 98% of the amnesty claims fail. So it's probably at least 90% of those claims would fail, and that's where it should be. It should be in amnesty type stuff. Uh, those children have a right to amnesty claims. But the judge didn't do anything wrong. Again, that's our system. Well, if that system didn't exist, then Biden would have had you hosting trans people in your home. Everybody's required to host one trans person every month for dinner. Right. Again, that system uh, guards against faction. Well, you can come to power, but there's certain protections that the Senate now. Again, it's the American government. Obviously, these people are probably Russian bots, but right, or influenced by Russian bots. No, it's the way the courts work. I mean, they did the same thing to Biden. If they didn't call it, really been miserable. No, there's a lot of stuff that again, there's only so many cases. Like the judge just can't initiate a case. So if Republicans don't, there were some cases initiated. So I'm studying some other areas to move to. I don't know. There's some things in Ohio that didn't look right. So as far as environment, so I don't know, weather, that kind of thing. I'm looking for pockets of maybe. I don't want it to be dry necessarily, but I don't want it to be humid either. Muggy. So I'm sure they set up a failure in Ohio, so they have to set it up somewhere else. I was looking at Altoona, Pennsylvania, and lost in one aspect. There's no Costco. I need a Costco. There was a hot Costco within a half hour. It would have worked. Altoona looks like a nice place to live. The mountain regions in West Virginia and Pennsylvania are actually nicer weather-wise. Not so much. I'm sick of this bugginess. Now they're saying it's on again, off again in southeastern Pennsylvania, but it's expensive. I even looked up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's expensive on the east side of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's not that much cheaper, but Altoona really is a well-priced community. It looked real nice. Again, like I said, be a little difficult. One of my hearing aids comes from Costco, and I don't think that they have contractors or in the contract. Right? They couldn't afford to sell them like that if they use contractors. I mean, I can look, but they might, who knows, may allow something. I get most of the parts probably from VA for my. I think it matches my other one, except for a couple of things. Well, the law seems weird because again, it just says every child that enters the United States, I think, gets to stay here, which is kind of weird. It allows the system to be. Like I said, if I get my kid up there, I mean, they may not even want their kid. To the point like saying, "Well, my kid's a cash cow. If I get him to or get him or her in the United States, and they'll pay for my retirement. The United States will raise them. I don't have to worry about them. I can still go out and party the rest of my life." Or like a single person, or not a kid, people without kids, and get the United States to raise them. Then when they're of age, they'll pay me my retirement fund. I mean, no guarantees, of course, but well, a lot of times they hide their relation. What they say in court is not always true. Well, the parents don't want the child. Meanwhile, I love you, mommy. I love you, my little pumpkin. When you're an American citizen, maybe you can get me into the United States. But in court, they say something completely different. So it doesn't look like it allows for enough discernment. It should be like an amnesty case based thing. Well, the problem is, again, when the administration doesn't tell necessarily the truth, or maybe doesn't know the truth, I don't know. But they said that all the children, had parents waiting on them, and well, they did. Like, like I said, that's an issue. So they send these this like leathercraft rivet kit, or in my case, pleathercraft, and it arrives late. It arrives in it's like a disposable paper envelope, albeit a little heavy, but albeit paper. When I go to return it, it says you have to return it in a box, or again, I don't think it wasn't even an option. Just put it in a box and return it. It was either drop it off and with the barcode in a box, or in a box with a label, or in a box with a label, or in a box and picked up by for $7.99 by UPS. But yet it didn't come in a box. But of course, I have plenty of boxes because I'm a great Amazon customer. not open, and they're not even open on Labor Day. Whoops. Yeah, yeah, what a waste of time. Yeah, the projections in Amazon are failing. Well, the mind is if you're a Prime member and you frequent Amazon shopping frequently, you should see protection of the mind, but not that. The other thing too, where the package sits in limbo for 5 days and shows up on Labor Day. That's getting called an F. Deep State gets paid millions of dollars. They make people cash cows, and they get paid millions of dollars to kill people. And there's no method to the madness. They're sick people. They do sick things to people. Banklers lose their little churches, their little Sikh Gurdwaras, and the other things. All you have to do is make somebody believe they're part of a supremacy organization or supremacy cult or whatever it is. I don't know what the judge is going to do. I mean, you might have to appeal it. I don't know if she'll shoot it down. Again, the idea is if she shoots down the law, and I don't think she would, probably take at least an appellate for it. There'd be no protection. So I don't think she's willing to do that. Or the protection would go back to an amnesty claim, but who would file the amnesty? I don't, where that or how that, unless there's something else in the system that says that a child has an automatic amnesty claim, or not an amnesty, but amnesty. I guess the amnesty claim. Other agents tell me she's sitting around, and there is a sheep, but there's men too, and they're all sitting around. They're making faces at their computer or their devices while they're getting angrier and angrier because they're casting spells. They can tell they're casting spells. The last thing they want me to do is survive Kansas. The closer we get to the move, the more insane they become. There's no doubt I'll beat Kansas. There's no doubt it'll be at least by a couple states. I make the argument, I have better things to do. There'd be no reason that I wouldn't do this, and I have better reasons to do other things, and a bunch of bullshit in the head. Never directly answering, "Did you do this?" Right. I gotta try to get my trailer hitch on my van. Think I know where it is, and I might have to buy a new pin for it. Well, get the stuff out of my apartment to my storage unit. It's a trailer. It's just easier that way. And that way it'll be in my storage unit the day I move. It won't be in my apartment where it's a lot harder to get something out of an apartment. And she's still, they're all still trying. And they say she, they make it she being a face. They can do that with spells. Say I'm anti-woman or some shit. Like, well, everybody else is anti-woman. Oh man, I'm anti-corruption. That's the problem. If more women are corrupt than men, then I guess you can try to say that I'm anti-woman, but I'm anti-corruption still. A bunch of people in the federal government had sex with their bosses. The majority of them are women, and they got the right to do whatever they wanted in corruption. And nobody stopped. They built an extortion criminal enterprise. That's what they built. Organized crime, racketeering, and every last one. Come off like they're conservatives. They're actually lesbians, feminist lesbians that hate men. Come into your church and tell you they're, hey, brother, praise Jesus. Right. Because they spent their whole life in undercover roles. Doing it in their religion is no different for them. The fact that they say I'm like that means that they're like that. Again, they've been proven to be projections. It's actually one of their psyops. I might take a little bit of time today to find this trailer hitch. But get a lot of this stuff. It's easier to clean your apartment too when there's nothing in there. It's not hard to figure out all of it. Right? The only thing is whether there's direct energy and how are they using that direct energy. That's the only question. Look at my mail. Other sickos, man. They're bound for hell, believe me. They're in every religion in the world. Praising Jesus and all the other things. Hare Krishna. Every last one will find their first moment out of this body in hell. There's no out for religion confusing them. They're all willfully ignorant. That's why I'm be careful what Peter Thiel's saying, because he may be expounding on willful ignorance being some sort of virtual Christianity. I don't believe he sounds like another deep state. Very simple. But again, maybe he's trying to do something. Who knows? But he's definitely a neophyte. Well, everybody knows Jesus is an Aryan by the way he looks. There's no way he's Jewish. I respect the Aryan help, but funny to look at the photo on the front. At least the LDS, they gave like a little different look to the guy. He could be. He could be Middle Eastern or Jewish at least. There's light skinned Jews. There's light skinned people from India. So the idea that you have to be dark skinned to be a Jew is BS. And I don't know what living in a light skinned community would do. Like the climate caused the melatonin to be light skinned. If you were in that for like a few hundred years, would that change would that light your skin? Not people in India that look like white people. I do actually. The people that are in Punjab are really some of them. I mean, they look like they could be UK or something. Yeah, I would have done good marrying a woman from the Punjab. Probably would have saved her life, and it would have worked. Probably they blocked it. They blocked everything. But again, with the other side of that thing, I still got some years left. But obviously, not the years that I had to be married and everything else. You'll all go to hell for it. You all sold your souls to Satan. And that's one sure thing. No matter what you call it, no matter what Peter Thiel calls it, no matter what anybody calls it. Praise God. No